Hey there, welcome back to this week's episode of the C-Town Podcast, where Seattle business owners, entrepreneurs, and community leaders are invited on to share their stories with us. I'm your host, Christian Harris. This week's episode of the C-Town Podcast is brought to you by C-Town Real Estate. Their mission to make a difference extends beyond just their unique and unconventional approach with their clients and their agents. They partner with the community to give back a percentage of the proceeds from each home sale to a local nonprofit of their client's choice. Visit ctown.com, sea-town.com, and experience the difference with C-Town Real Estate today. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the C-Town Podcast. This is episode 62, and I'm joined today by Janis Lemert. Now, some say that you're the Mary Poppins of organization. Now, I will say that your personality is definitely magical and delightful, and you're very good at what you do. Janis owns Lemert Organizing Company. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, I have the privilege of working with people to organize systems, organize spaces, help them to have some accountability, give them encouragement, whether it be building up their office or business, whether it be the room that just feels crazy as a parent that's exploded with toys, whether it be somebody who's just moved and needs help thinking through spatially where things go and what makes the most sense. And everything in between. And so, yeah, lots of flexibility and fun that goes along with what I get to do.
And when we're initially talking, you mentioned that you are licensed professional organizer. Now, that seems pretty unique in your industry because, there's a lot of people that's like, I like organizing, so I'm going to start my company, but they're not licensed or trained per se. What's kind of the difference there?
Yeah, I think that speaks into the entrepreneurship of all of this and what you are trying to promote, which I'm so grateful for, and I think it's really needed. Because if I had had the opportunity to know about this a couple years ago, I probably would have been listening myself. I wanted to be organized. I wanted to have all my stuff together, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing what was not only best for the client, but was going to set myself up for success. And so when you're in somebody's house and you are touching their most valuable possessions and you are around their children, or you're around their elderly parents, or you're around their very expensive art because they just moved from San Francisco, I think they should be assured that they are having a service that is thoughtful and professional. And so somebody can come in and just say, hey, yep, I can come and organize your stuff. Or you can know that I've gone through a process of licensure with the National Association of Professional Organizers, and made sure that I had all the insurance in place and all the licensure in place so that people can really feel good about having me come in and, again, just touch those very vulnerable things.
Sure. Do you find it pretty challenging to gain people's trust when you're coming into such an intimate environment? I'd imagine that licensing helps, but what else do you do to kind of gain their trust and show that you're different as far as how you operate, how you help them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have had a lot of experience with customer service over the years. So over 20 years of customer experience. And I love working with people. I love making them feel comfortable. I love giving them an opportunity to talk about themselves in a way that maybe they wouldn't otherwise. And so to be able to do that, you have to feel safe and you have to feel like you want to be vulnerable with somebody. And so part of what I offer is a 30-minute free consultation so that they can really see if my personality matches with theirs. I have a lot of clients who are taking this step because they really need the help, but they have had people in their lives, a mother-in-law, a sister, a friend who has come in and said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it looks like this. I can't believe you're living like this. I can't believe you haven't already done this. And they felt shame and frustration and have just said, never mind, I don't want to. And so I'm the opposite of that. I don't push, and I don't, I'm not going to ever make anybody throw anything away, although I'll encourage it. Yeah. And I want to help people figure out why they're doing what they're doing and then really accomplish their goals. And their goals can be different than my goals. And so it's really meeting them right where they're at. And so to meet somebody where they're at, you got to be able to jive with them. And to be able to do that, you've got to be able to have a conversation and have somebody walk through your home and kind of watch what their eyes do and watch what their face does. And I really pride myself on helping people to feel like they don't have, a big judge standing over them.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely noticed, when from the first time, we had a conversation that, like, you definitely, not just in your business, but, personality-wise, you, like, kind of dig into people's lives. Like, you don't stay on the surface, you want to get to know someone and what drives them, which I'd imagine in this line of work is really important because, sometimes people say one thing, but their body language or their motivation is maybe in conflict with that.
Yes.
Kind of speaking of that stigma, I mean, most people, well, I don't know if most people, but yeah, I'd imagine that a lot of people kind of are resistant to, the idea they need someone to come in and organize, or that maybe they're, they're going to be labeled a hoarder or whatever, some other, not great societal term. I mean, do you get resistance like that? I don't
think I get resistance as I get, I think there's for sure an opinion about all of that, but on one side of it, there is people who have genuine disorders, people who have genuine reasons why they're unable to deal. And I would say that stuff is only one of probably many areas of their life where that is a real challenge for them. And so I am not a therapist, and I am certainly not licensed in any kind of,
Though you do know a good therapist.
I am married to a really great therapist, and he has helped teach me a lot about how to navigate certain things. However, I am not, and I think that for those who struggle in those areas, I offer tangible help, and therapists refer me to their clients who are looking for kind of that next step. It's like the physical therapy at home, and I love that.
Yeah.
And then there's Joe Schmo, who just moved here, who is entrenched in business or entrenched in trying to get their family settled, and they're moving from some 5,000 square foot home to an 1,800 square foot. And what do I do, and how do I do it? And I can't do everything. Sure. I won't get to sleep for the next month if I'm trying to do all these things. And so, again, that's just one example, but you wouldn't tell that person not to get a house cleaner. You wouldn't tell that person not to order from Amazon Fresh the groceries for a couple days. There's also situations where somebody's just looking for that gap to kind of be taken care of in a way that makes them feel like they can just breathe at the end of the week. Sure. And so I can come in those situations too. And then you have, I would say, one of the largest pieces that I work with is people who are trying to move out their parents. Estate situations that are just challenging, and we are still in an era of people who were coming out of the Depression or who had parents in the Depression, and we're talking about stuff, lots of stuff that means a lot of different things. And so helping families walk through that and what to do, and using some great referrals in the Western Washington area of, whether it be movers or cleaners or financial planners or homes for mom to go into that doesn't feel gross, sure. And everything below it. So it's a lot of times it's connecting people and referring people and helping people to feel like there's hope in the middle of it. And then, there's the mama who's got 3 kids, right. Who's, trying to run her business from home, and she just feels overwhelmed and would love somebody to come in and just help give her some tips and tools on how to think through something that she didn't before. So, sure. And everything in between. Yeah. So I'm very unique and very individual, and I'm the first person to say there's no stigma. There shouldn't be a stigma. You wouldn't, there's lots of areas of life where we use tools, we use accommodations, and if we can be a society who helps one another, then I think we're better off for it. I certainly wouldn't be trying to sell my own house today, Christian. I would come to someone like you. So, same thing.
Of course, yes. Yeah. It's important to, in the niche economy we live in, to realize that we've got our strong suits, and a lot of times we need to ask for help, and that's okay.
And when you get the privilege, which I do, to use my giftings and abilities, I feel really fulfilled and really grateful.
Sure.
And so it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be exciting with such a unique business to work with such a wide spectrum of clients. And I know one of the first questions I had when I was chatting your ear off about business stuff was, okay, well, what's the difference between an interior designer and a professional organizer? I mean, I'm sure there's some crossover there. What's your answer to that? What's the difference?
Sure. So, and I don't know a ton about interior design. I certainly did not go to design school. But I'm not going to come in and tell you what colors swatches to think about, and I'm not going to tell you to what flooring you should go get, and those are not the referrals I offer. I offer the referral for people to do that.
Sure.
I'm going to come in and help you think through the space that you're going to do whatever you're going to do in. And I would say some professional organizers you're going to find that they really quickly start referring things that cost a lot of money. I would say I really try not to do that. I am really thoughtful about the environment, really thoughtful about helping keep as much money in people's pockets as possible. And I'm delighted to help somebody spend their money in a thoughtful way. There's no problem with that. But if we can use what you have, and we can think about what's available, and we can set it up in a way that makes you feel like you can be productive, then the less money we can spend, the better.
Okay.
So, in my experience, an interior designer is not thinking that way.
Sure.
And so it's more about the feel of the space and the setup of such, and what to do with items that do not fit in that space, as opposed to the look and the detail of the items that are setting it up.
Okay. So in a nutshell, maybe you could say that what you do is taking what they already have and organizing it in such a way that to make the best use of the space and what they have, versus transforming the space by buying a whole bunch of new stuff and repainting and flooring and that kind of stuff.
Though I'm delighted to do so.
Okay.
If you want to send me the Container Store, I will totally go for you.
Okay.
I just think that a lot of times people are looking to maybe try it all over again, and I want to help people consider what they have first, and then if we need to go buy containers and storage and whatever it would be, then I'm all for that. But that's not the first thing I'm looking for.
Sure.
So.
Okay. Now, what kind of motivated you to start this business in the first place? What was kind of the reason behind that? I mean, there's lots of things you could have gone into to help people, and use your strengths. Well,
a little bit of a twofold story. Shout out to my mom, who's just one of the most amazing women I know, who has always been very thoughtful about what we purchased as a family and helped us to use what we had, and it was a blessing. Married into a family that was thoughtful about what they used and how they use it, and so. But I watched both my parents and my in-laws walk through helping their parents move. And so I certainly didn't have any tangible experience with all of that, but I watched the emotions and the frustration and the joy and the sadness of parents who came out of a depression era, and one grandparent in particular who had Lou Gehrig's disease, and they had to move them out of a Beachside, West Seattle home very quickly, and it was painful for my family. And that kind of set a seed in my heart about what both just the real estate side and the organization of things. If you had a crisis or if you had a challenge, how would you do what you do? Yeah. And especially if you don't have a great community of people around you, that can be really challenging. And so I had that seed, and it was really fun at the end of high school into college to be able to work for Capers in the Junction with Seattle. Lisa, who owns that, was a mentor to me in a lot of ways, though she may not really know that. Getting to go to New York with her and being able to see the buying process and the corporate side of it gave me an inside opportunity to watch how a business was organized. And I did my internship there, and it was just fun. And yet it was really eye-opening when it came to how to run a business and how to manage just different people and different personalities and different products. I worked for Pottery Barn, which was really great and gave me an inside scoop on how to think through things in a more modest way. And then worked as a director for a church right after being at an event planning firm where I was a executive assistant. And so I had a lot of people who spoke into my life over the years when it came to what they needed or what they were looking for or how they wanted to streamline. And I ended up being in positions where I was helping people facilitate that. And so in being able to help facilitate logistics and people's needs that, was like, hey, could you do that in the next hour? Or, hey, could you take care of that? Or, hey, could you organize that? Or, hey, could you think of a quick solution? Helped me to be really creative. And so when I had children, I knew that the dynamic would change, and I wanted it to. I really wanted to be available for my children. And so as they have become a little bit older, it's amazing to be a part of their school life and a part of being available. And my husband and I really decided that we wanted for me to be able to do that, and so I'm grateful. Yeah. So I needed a situation where I could be flexible and where I could give of myself as fully as possible to my family, and yet be able to have fun and use my gifts and encourage others and serve others in a unique way. And so this positioned me into, really using me. And so it's nice I don't have any overhead, and I don't have any, I'm not trying to sell anything except for getting to sit along next side people and walking with them. And so it's been a breath of fresh air and really fun. And I feel grateful for my experiences and for the people who have encouraged me and who have given me lots of advice, because I didn't go to school for business. So I would rather just help people with their stuff. But I wanted to set it up for success. And in doing so, I had to get all my ducks in a row. And so even learned how to organize all those pieces. Right. So I'm a life learner and want to be. And so it's been really fun.
Yeah, no, it's important to be a life learner. It's interesting. I mean, one of your comments you just made about, you didn't go to school for business. As I'm reflecting on all our guests and, all the people I know that own businesses, I don't know too many of them that actually went to school for business. You kind of figure it out as you're going. It seems like the people that go to school for business and actually have MBAs end up, in the corporate world, not starting their own business. So that's interesting. Can you tell us some interesting facts about being a professional organizer?
Interesting facts about being a professional organizer. Yes. I love laughing with clients. I love it. If I get to get them to laugh and we get to laugh about something that maybe is really hard, that just makes my day. I think there's always something to learn about humans. And so when you get to come alongside somebody, I just think you can accomplish so much. And that's just one of the most fun things about what I do. When you meet them in their vulnerability, I had a CEO who said to me, I am just overwhelmed by getting my admins to get certain tasks done. And so we had a really fun meeting about how, just brainstorming. And I was able to ask questions that I think he didn't even know he could ask about just systems that they were doing in their office. And one of them was a gentleman who felt like he had to keep going and just couldn't excuse himself for a break. And so even just from a system standpoint, helping people to think through things that really make a cultural difference, business or home. Let's see. I think being a good question asker. And I think even just listening to some of your podcasts, Christian, I am for sure going to say that you are a good question asker. And with that comes insight and encouragement for those who are being asked that. A lot of times in business, when you come in posturing yourself as you know everything and you're going to come in and bring the solution, I think there are only certain businesses that can really drive that kind of behavior. Otherwise, I think when you come in and meet somebody where they're at and you are a person who's looking to learn, I think that you can actually accomplish more, not only for your own business, but for your clients.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's a good point. If you come in just offering solutions without understanding the problem in the first place, you're probably going to be offering the wrong solutions if you don't understand who you're trying to serve.
Well, even deeper than that, if you come in assuming that there is a problem, I think,
they wouldn't be calling you if they had.
Oh, let me just tell you. That's a really good point, Christian. I would say a number of my clients wouldn't say that there's a problem.
Okay.
I would say that they would say, I'm overwhelmed, or I just don't want to deal.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe not call it a problem, but if you don't know why, your client's contacting in the first place, whether it's, they feel like they have an organizational problem or they're just have a base level anxiety for the condition of their house.
Sure.
Unless you're able to ask the questions and draw out the right answers, you're not going to be able to help them properly, I think about this in real estate because there's a lot of people, a lot of agents that come in just boom, 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 boom. Let me tell you all the awesome things we do and who we are and all this stuff. Well, what's the client situation? What are they looking for? What's important to them?
Yes.
Like if you're not drawing those things out, then you're trying to, quote, serve everyone as if everyone's exactly the same, has the same needs and desires and values and motivation. So
I'm thoughtful about the word problem only because I think for some people they think, oh my gosh, it's got to be some terrible crisis before I would have somebody come in.
Sure.
And that's just not the case. I want to encourage people that there's this is really bad and there's a crisis and definitely we need to take care of it.
Sure.
Or I don't want it to get that way. Sure. And I see some areas of my life or areas of the way I'm formalizing my business that is not what I want it to be, but I don't know how to think outside that.
Okay.
And so
so you're saying people don't have to let it get to a place of being classified as a hoarder before they contact someone like you.
I definitely don't. Yes. And yet one of the things that I thought about in advance, years ago, I would watch that show and I thought, you have got to be kidding me. And that's kind of the quintessential thing that people think about when they hear. That's the extreme example. I'm sure it's somebody like when they say, I'm a flipper, I flip houses, and you're like, okay, well.
I got you painted. Yeah.
Right. But there's all different kinds of, the word means different things depending on the setting.
Sure.
I decided a long time ago, I would not be cleaning up feces.
It's a good.
You're welcome for that piece of information.
Yeah.
But I think even as a business owner, you draw lines.
Sure,
you have to. And that was, I really thought, okay, I could really help somebody. I could work with therapists who want to come in and do that and work for the state and do that. Just engage that kind of thing.
Sure.
And I just realized that was not. I would not be able to give of myself to a client in a way that would, I think, help them in extreme situations like that. And so I drew a line.
Sure.
And yes, that sounds extreme, but I think that that's true as a business owner. You kind of, there's certain things you make up along the way where you say, okay, no, that's not really, I don't want to work with that kind of situation again, or I don't want to work with that kind of personality.
Sure.
Even.
Something that treats me this way or...
Sure. And I think that has actually grown my capacity in my ability to serve my clients well and to do business that I feel really good about when I leave.
Sure. I mean, I think the answer to that feeds in well with my next question of what kind of business owner would you say that you are?
I've thought about this question in light of having working for or with people at certain times over the last 25 years who were totally motivated by money, who were totally motivated by schedule, where there was a predominant something in their work, in the way that they conducted themselves within their business, that really stood out and on some level harmed employees, in that if you're only focused on this thing really predominantly,
Sure.
then everything else obviously trickles down from that, but that makes it challenging.
So you're saying if their primary value and motivator is money in the bottom line, everything else gets sacrificed?
I would say yes. I think that's true. And so I think I'm a learner, and I'm a life learner in that experience has taught me to be a seeker of information. I need accountability. I help people to have accountability, but I need accountability.
Sure.
I need my tax guy to be like, hey, you're coming in on Tuesday at 1:00? Yep, I totally am. Because that's not my area of expertise. And so I'm delighted to pay somebody else to help me with that, just as other people do that with me. Kind of business owner, I'm flexible. I've been with business owners who are not flexible. Oof, that's hard.
Sure. Being rigid is...
Yeah, I'm a collaborator. I really want to work with a client. If they have an idea, I'm delighted to hear it, because they're the ones who sit in their office and run their business. They're the ones that sit at home and work in their own homes. So they're the first ones to know maybe what's going to really work for them and what's not. I really try to be patient. I'm a business owner that delights in being present as opposed to quick. And I think at the end of the day, I'm a connector. If I'm not the best fit for somebody, or if an aspect of what we're doing needs somebody else, I'm going to be the first one to give a referral or connect them to somebody that can.
Sure. So, in your journey of business ownership, what would you say you've learned about yourself?
I think I've learned that I have a larger capacity than I give myself credit for. That is certainly not always true in my personal life. But when I am engaged, I'm engaged. And so I think I had more in me to give than I anticipated. And I think even just coming, and I only work part-time. My family comes first, and I support my family in a lot of unique ways that I'm sure a lot of other people do, but this is not a full-time gig for me. And I purpose to work around my family's schedule to be able to give to clients.
Sure.
Even though I would say a client comes first, they come first in a certain tier.
Yeah.
But that gives me the capacity to be present for them. If I was trying to parcel myself out, I wouldn't have that. And so the minute I decided, how my schedule would work, or in what place a client could be available in the way that I work and what I've chosen to do at this point in my life as a profession, within those boundaries, I have more capacity than I anticipated. And
Sure.
That gives me energy and ability to think through things as a business owner that I think I didn't know that I could. I'm delighted to work for people and have for many, many years. But to be a business owner and do it by myself and have that accountability, I was like, I just don't know. I don't know if I can do that. And I'm so grateful because of really wonderful people around me that I can.
Sure. All right, let's get a little lighter on these next few questions.
Okay.
What's the most surprising find you've had?
Oh, you want like juicy. You want like, what are you finding in the piles?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What can one of the things I would just want to preface is there is a huge care that I have for client confidentiality. Mm-hmm. So I would never I don't tell people about specific clients unless that client has given explicit permission.
Sure.
However, there are some stories without naming names in any way, shape, or form that I can jump into. One of the best ones was a $3,000 unclaimed check. Somebody had a real challenge with paper.
Okay.
And they had been receiving paper checks and paper mail for, all through the late 90s, early 2000s, when that's what most people were doing. Sure. And we were going through files, and they said, okay, I think we can just throw away these checks. And I said, we could just throw away this mail. And I said, no, I don't think so. I think we need to open it. I just want you to look at and touch it, and then we can shred it away if you want to. Sure enough, $3,116. I said,
It was still good? They could still cash it?
Well, it was sitting in unclaimed property. Note to self, people. Go to Washington State unclaimed property. You might have money you don't know about.
I'm gone. I don't have anything.
You don't have anything. This person had more than $3,000. So that was pretty cool.
Sure.
That was pretty cool.
Okay.
Another one was a family who was helping their father, who had dementia, go through drawers, and we were just going through the house. Mm-hmm. And we were going through drawers, and he had quite a while ago, in that it was a Washington Mutual envelope. So that bank has not been open for
it hasn't been around for a while,
several years.
Yeah.
And there was $500 in cash. So that was
nice
was a fun find.
Yeah.
But it was in the pocket of pants and they're not pants you would have worn today.
Yeah.
So note to self, go through your purses, go through your pockets. Don't just chuck it out.
Right. Before you give it to Goodwill.
Before you give it to Goodwill. Otherwise, really nice donation for Goodwill. Found 2-month-old lost keys.
Okay. I'm sure they were happy to find those.
They were really happy to find those. Those keys are expensive to replace.
Yeah.
I think my most favorite, and the one that I wish I could tell more details about, but I can't. But I can say, couple had been married for a number of years, and family was moving them out, and we were going through boxes, and there were letters from World War II that this man had written to his mother, and they had been lost for I'm sure over 30 to 40 years. And they were in a space that they wouldn't have looked in or dealt with probably if we hadn't kind of combed through. And the reaction from the family was one of the most personally precious things I've ever gotten to witness. And that was just a really encouraging. And so that motivates me.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
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 Let's try this question. What's the funniest compliment you've received?
I cry when I'm with you, but I need it because it helps me to laugh. Like,
okay. Yeah.
I make you cry. Okay. But, okay,
Good cry feels good, though.
Good cry feels good. And most of my clients don't cry, so I'll just put that out there. But that was pretty funny. That was it was just in the right moment. But
you don't put that in your marketing. We'll make you cry.
I officially do not put that in my marketing. But again, that's the side piece of the there's a vulnerable side of that too. But
sure.
some pretty funny comments. A lot. Yeah. It's great.
That's funny. If you could give a helpful tip to our listeners, what would it be?
My free advice would be lists. I think lists are underrated, especially in a media day and age where there are lots of facets of things that are going on, whether in business or in your personal life. I find that there is this unspoken need for people to think that they should keep all of that information in their head, that they should just know what that is or how to verbalize it really well, or have all the answers. And I think that that's really far from the truth. And so one of the things that for some clients, they're ready to go there. For others, we have to really deal with stuff before we talk about, creating a system. But lists are so powerful. And a lot of times it doesn't even matter that you go back to the list. It's that you make the list and you're kind of just downloading that information for yourself to be able to deal with what's in front of you. And I think as a business owner, the lists I make are legit. I there's no possible way that I can remember all the details from someone. And as long as I ask permission as a business owner to say, hey, would you mind if I just jot down notes as you're talking? That helps somebody feel like, oh, you're writing about me, or oh, you're putting that in your notes on your cell phone about me, not just ignoring what I'm saying and not being present.
Sure.
So lists.
Lists, okay. Here's my list.
I really like your list.
See, even as much as I use technology, I still have like my top things. I'll write them down, not in a particular order.
Nope.
Then I'll go through and be like, okay, what's the most important thing here? Okay, 1. What's the next most important thing? 2.
Yes.
So, because you can have a to-do list all day long, but if you don't prioritize it,
yes,
you're going to be taking care of those easy things that really don't move your life forward. But
absolutely.
Yep.
Smart guy.
Well, it's taken years of base level anxiety of having all this stuff in my head.
But it's true. It's really true. I'm just all about downloading.
Yep.
Download it so you can see it. If you see it, it can become real.
Right.
And if it's real, you can deal with it.
Right. You can actually do something about it.
Yep.
All right. Imagine this. You've got a BFF in town, and they've never been to Seattle. What do you do? Where do you take them?
Oh, my word. How much time do I have? Is it an evening? Is it a day? What's that? Give me the...
Yeah, you've got sitter for the evening.
Oh.
You got 4 hours.
So this is an evening?
Evening, yep.
Oh, man.
Where do you take them?
If there's a really good play happening at Arts West, you've got to get nachos at Matador. You've got to go to the Lookout, and if it's a decent night, to see the Space Needle. You gotta go shopping in the Junction. If it's bright and not gross like it currently is, if it's a summer evening, you're going walking at Lincoln Park.
What would you say is a personal habit that contributes to your success?
Downloading information in the morning when I wake up.
Like the Matrix, just plug it in the back of your head.
Yes, I have a plug that goes into that's on my bed, and I just click. Yeah,
it's right into your brain. Okay.
Right, totally. Downloading that information, downloading my brain. All that, all of a sudden you wake up, or in the middle of the night, you're like, I can't stop thinking about blank, or this is on my mind, and all of these things, and you're going through the scenario in the morning. Download it, whether it be in notes on your phone or it be on a piece of paper, but get it out in whatever way you need to so that you can engage the day. That's been very helpful for me. And then 2 is stopping. I have to have a personal stop point. And so
you mean like at the end of the day?
Yeah, some people, they put their kids down, or they close the office, but then they go work. And for some, that's really helpful.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't even think. I'm sure that you know nothing about that. And unfortunately, I do know something about that. Of course, that's the quiet time. I got to do that. But I had to have personal business hours, because as a business owner, you don't get to stop. Yeah. You're responsible for all of this stuff. But for me, 8:30 is like a cutoff. I am not I'm not going to think straight after that time. And so it's a personal cutoff with everything from like my kids to, oh, no, I'm done working at 8:30. So unless you're throwing up or you genuinely desperately need me, which of course I will be there for,
Sure.
Office hours are closed. But then office hours also have to be closed on my email. Office hours have to be closed on getting ideas for the next day. And of course, there's flexibility in that every once in a while, but not as a habit.
Sure.
Like my personal habit as a business owner, I have to have a stopping point.
Okay. So share with us one piece of parting guidance or words of wisdom.
Get to know Christian Harris because he's amazing. Engage in your community as a business owner in whether it be a small or large way. Rest.
Okay.
And I don't mean like just go to sleep. Rest.
Sure.
So that when you give of yourself, you give of yourself holistically and thoughtfully. Rest is important.
Okay.
You're welcome.
That's good. So what about for our listeners who don't own businesses, who are community members that are smart enough not to start their own business?
Super smart people. Yep. Working for awesome companies. Yep. Yes. My advice to them would be rest.
Okay. So advice. It's good.
I don't know. Well, Christian, you tell me what the people that you know that listen to this that are not business owners.
Yep.
Why are they listening to this? What's the thing? What's the catch?
I'd like to think that they're listening because I've got their favorite businesses on here. Share the backstory, of that pizza joint they go to, every week, or their favorite, professional organizer. I mean, that's kind of the idea is hopefully people in the community who, call Seattle and specifically West Seattle home. They're able to kind of pick and choose what their favorite businesses are, hear the backstory, get to know them a little bit better. Yeah.
If I were that person, which I am in general, that person.
Yeah. Oh, we all are. You own a business.
Yep. I would want to. I'd want to know who's approachable. And who's approachable when it comes to great schools. Who's approachable when it comes to healthy businesses. Who's approachable when it comes to civic leaders and people who have a say in what the community looks like. Who's approachable? Because I think a lot of times we waste time and energy, trying to crack open, certain information or people. And I think when you have somebody who's a good listener and who wants to hear from people in the community, shout their name from the rooftop so that you can, frankly, engage your community more than you would if you couldn't have that information.
Sure. That's good stuff. Well, if people are interested in hiring you for the services or using your free 30-minute consultation, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Best way to get a hold of me is on my website at www.lemertorganizing.com.
Okay. Lemert.
Lemert and organizing with an ing. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Janis.
Oh, Christian, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you.
That wraps up this week's episode. Make sure to check out our guest website, pay them a visit, and help spread the word about what they are doing. If you have any questions, know someone who should be a guest on here, or has a great story worth sharing, email me at christianharris@seatown.com. That's sea-town.com. I would also love it if you would go to iTunes and give us a review and a nice 5-star rating. We work hard to bring on great guests and provide exceptional content, and getting a review from you is one way to help the podcast rank well on iTunes so others can find and enjoy the show. You can also find out more about me, how my real estate brokerage is breaking the mold and making a difference in our Seattle communities, and other projects I'm working on by visiting seatown.com. sea-town.com. Thanks for listening. The music for our podcast is courtesy of The Fascination Movement. You can find their albums in the iTunes Store. You can also listen to more episodes and find all our show notes on our website at seatownpodcast.com. This has been a Seatown Media production.
So if it's dumb, do you stop and you say, okay, Janis, this is dumb. We got to do.
Usually it's my
You
fault,
do that?
But